No, 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 no. Yeah, like do we? Apples and bananas. Apples and bananas. I like to eat apples and bananas. You want to eat.
Mhm.
Hi, Sarah.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan. Where's Julia?
She's on a business trip, so she couldn't like go go off very nicely. So
Yeah,
we'll
too bad. I mean, you wanted to be in this meeting.
I don't know. I mean, she said she was on a business trip. I don't know what went down. I mean, she must have
Well, if it's a business trip, it's probably just something regular, like how my dad does. I mean, both are not
yeah.
business.
Well, it didn't go as planned for me either. I thought I could get Joey Andrews, but the representative declined. But she thanked me for thinking of her anyway. Thought I could get Dick Van Dyke. His representative did not respond. Thought I could get Karen Daughtry. Her representative did not respond. So it's
Okay, we get it. We're trying to get all kinds of A-listers up here.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't. Well, yeah, because I don't always see them being cast in a big superhero movie. But the only thing Julie Andrews really did was playing voicing this sea creature on Aquaman, like the first Aquaman that came out in 2018.
There's another one coming.
Aquaman 2 later this year, but I'm not sure how well that's gonna do. It's
Well, anyhow.
okay. Well, let's just get started. The uh the critics have hailed Mary Poppins as Walt Disney's greatest masterpiece. Though getting this achievement achievement onto the screen was no easy task. As a matter of fact, it took decades for Walt to finally get this thing made. You see, he originally had the idea when one time he just passed his daughter's room and well, at least his two daughters' room, and his two daughters, his two girls, they were just giggling their socks off in that room, and he just kind of goes up to them and he's like, "Girls, what's so funny?" And one of them says, "Why, Daddy, Mary Poppins," and well, Walt didn't really know what the heck that was, but then he read one of the books by P.L. Travers, and his imagination is just caught on fire. He felt like he could probably do something like this. He felt convinced he could do it, but usual he just has to go over to get the rights just to make something like this. But turns out P.L. Travers, or real name Helen Gogh, she was dragged into this kicking and screaming. She just didn't think Walt was capable. She just didn't like what Walt Disney stood for. She didn't like the little chipper cartoon stuff. She didn't like the cartoons or songs or the whole idea. She didn't think Walt was even capable. Walt kind of convinced her multiple times, but she didn't think he had it in him. But it wasn't until Walt personally went to her place in London and kind of sat down with her one on one and told him, told P.L. Travers his own life story about him being not exactly being in the best shape of having a admiration for his own father, or thinking that he didn't like his father that much, or the childhood that he had coming from a weird Marceline small town Marceline, Missouri type childhood. He kind of figured out a way to relate to her and her struggles, as she might have had similar struggles with her own childhood. So I think that might have just told her, hey, whatever got loose. She finally just caves in and signs the rights to let Walt make the movie. And whoop-de-doo, she hates the final product, cartoons, songs. She just she doesn't like the songstress thing. She just doesn't like the old general how the plot goes. And it's like, well, I reckon if one of you interviewer ever talked to P.L. Travers after the movie, she would be like, I hate it. As a matter of fact, that was exactly my reaction when I was having a hard time taking photos on the beach, trying to stand still.
Yeah, I think we get the idea. Anyway.
Yeah, so yes, Julie Andrews was doing Camelot on Broadway and such. And she was also doing My Fair Lady on Broadway as well. Walt, during one of these shows, personally approached her to ask if she could play Mary Poppins, and I don't know, she might have been a little skeptical, but at least she wasn't as snobby as or stuck up as P.L. Travers was. So she thought this would be a good opportunity for her to start going into making movies, start off a film career, because she was acting on stage this whole time, and now she's about to go into Hollywood. And it also worked because
her husband at the time
yes, her husband at the time not only did he not only designed the costumes, but also did every single bit of physical material in the movie that isn't a special effect.
You mean a setting, like a background setting?
Yeah, he did he was a de facto production designer. Yes. So it was Jimmy Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, who is still going at 98, believe it or not, is he was pretty popular back then because he had the Dick Van Dyke Show starring Dick Van Dyke. So for the ideal role of Bert, even if P.L. Travers didn't really like it, they thought they could have a funny man in the role, and they happened upon Dick Van Dyke. So, I mean, they could have gone with any other funny man, but it seems as though, despite what you feel about his accent, Dick Van Dyke does a really good job with this role. I mean, he's just a character who's just so happy to be breathing the air in his lungs. He's just the jack of all trades, and I love that about him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've heard that that Jimmy Sweet character was inspired from yeah, it was really a footnote in original stories when Mary Poppins passed by a chimney sweep.
Well, I can tell you that in some fan theories are thinking Yeah, maybe they might be brother and sister or something. I don't know. Mary Poppins. Yeah. Well, the books were written in 1934. They were set in the 1930s, but they didn't feel like that would be 1930s was a idyllic setting, so they kind of moved it back in time to 1910 Edwardian London, so they could give London a more storybook setting. And I think that's part of the reasons why Walt wanted that unique fantasy aspect in any animated film he ever did up until the end. So any film, period, even the live action ones, he still wanted to have that cartoonish or fantasy element in there. Oh, look at that! You brought your 101 Dalmatians toy trains. Look at that! What are you doing? I can't hear you. Wait, you on mute?
Yeah, I was making them right along, and hey, you were supposed to be continuing a conversation the whole thing, but I see that got your attention.
Oh, well, that's okay. Um, well, this movie was filmed entirely indoors, and this is like before before Marvel just started shooting everything on a soundstage.
Yeah, like an indoors Hollywood studio. I mean, I was like
Yes,
nowhere
yes,
near
that's called,
that.
yeah, yeah, I know. Uh, so well, instead of hiring several script writers um to just negotiate with the overall story process, Walt had songwriters Richard and Robert Sherman to come up with the overall story of the movie through various songs that would be playing throughout.
The Sherman Bros.
And if you're wondering why they weren't exactly high in on Sword in the Stone, the last movie we did, turns out they were focused more on this movie, Mary Poppins. As a matter of fact, even won an Oscar for Best Original Song, and particularly, she originally that they thought that they could have a song like "Through the Eyes of Love" in that film, but Julia seemed to want something a little more according to her taste or something like that, a
They
little
wanted something a
vaudeville
little
type stuff.
more, happy and snappy.
Yes, so they came up with the song that "A Spoonful of Sugar helps the medicine go down," and and um and there's also something particularly unique. They also came up with the idea that George Banks would potentially be learning some life lessons from Mary Poppins, and this is where the song "Feed the Birds" comes in. Turns out this was Walt Disney's favorite song. Um, and just to let you know, anytime Walt would meet the Sherman brothers for the rest of his life, and they would happen to be near a piano, Walt would say, "Play it," and they would play "Feed the Birds." It's it was like his favorite song, and I think it's because through the character of George Banks, Walt Disney wanted
And
to
Jordan, you're breaking up a bit.
uh I'm breaking
Jordan,
up. Uh-oh, my internet connection's unstable. Are we back?
yeah, well, I think it's stabling now. To back up from where you last said.
Well, can you hear me now? Okay, so this Mary Poppins may as well be Walt Disney's most personal film. He, through the character of George Banks, he thought that it would be a reflection of not only about how he felt about his own father, Elias Disney, but also a reflection of how Lillian, his wife, must have sometimes thought about him. And Walt Disney felt like he kind of wanted George Banks to learn how to be the father he kind of wished he had, and that in turn starts the motivation for why Walt Disney would really love that "Feed the Bird" song, and every trick in the book that is used that Walt innovated up over the course of 40 years, 440. This is how long he's really been in showbiz at this time. Walt Disney takes all the techniques he developed over the course of 40 years and puts them into one movie. You have an audio animatronic Robin that Mary Poppins sings to on her finger in the film. And then we got a ton of wire work, which of course is thickened with piano polish just to make it not so visible to the camera.
Yeah, why
Then
are they
we
doing
got
this to us? Huh? Huh?
yeah, yes, and then we got some beautiful matte paintings by Peter Ellenshaw, who is the studio's senior matte painting effects artist. And
My nephew painted this. That was the best I can get on with that short notice.
I also heard they had a rotating room for the tea party on the ceiling set to try to get a sense of realism, a rotating room, yeah. And I also heard that there was like a sodium vapor process to make the chroma keys of the animation and the live action play together in that special scene where they're doing the animation where Bird's dancing with the penguins. They're using a sodium vapor process. I mean, there's like only one of these types of cameras in the world, and at that time, Walt Disney was just using only the one because it's kind of like there was only one made because it was like so rare and so exclusive.
Yeah, we get it now. Mixing the live action with the full cartoons was complicated then.
Yes, exactly. And it worked pretty well, and it actually won this film Oscar for best special visual effects. Leading up to some of, in a way, it might as well have a certain degree of precursors that that you would see in CG effects today, as in some of the effects may, if pioneered here, may have been pioneered for CG and reinvented for CG. And tell you the truth, I can understand why they would go for those effects. And I mean, they had to use the best available tools at the time because back then computers were only used for business work, mathematics, and calculating trajectories to the moon. Well, they were like big clunky things. No one was really thinking about computer graphics at the time.
And because they didn't think computers would make graphics yet.
Yeah, they didn't think it. I didn't think it would be possible. I mean, not everyone was really thinking it would be possible.
Okay. So anyway, can we get back to the movie topic, please?
Yeah. So compositing is brilliant, and the effects are brilliant, and th- this this is a well executed movie, and in my view, and on a budget of like $4 million in its initial run, this film grossed like $31 million or something like that. It was like the highest grossing movie of 1964 and 1965. It even gave Julie Andrews a Best Actress Oscar. She kind of went up on stage.
Yeah, it was her
saying,
big break in that film business, huh?
yeah, and she went up on stage saying, "Hey, I'd like to thank Jack Warner for giving me this Oscar opportunity." And the reason
Like
why
we're
is
like the Bros.
it well, Jack Warner was the head of Warner Brothers at the time, and the film that won Best Picture that year, My Fair Lady, that was made by Warner Brothers, and Julie Andrews was
She
playing the
starred
role
in
on Broadway, but they kind of passed on her, and they chose Audrey Hepburn instead. So that's what you have to do. And this film premiered at the Grauman Chinese Theater, which I had the unique privilege of seeing the outside of. And
I just wonder why it's like an Oriental building of all places.
I don't know, but well, I think it might have been something that went down. Hang on, no, we got that.
I wasn't the. I didn't mean to go off top.
Yes, $31 million in the United States and Canada. It was one of the top 12 grossing films in the United States for 32 weeks. And this gave Walt Disney the most Oscars, or at least of all the movies, that feature-length movies that Walt Disney has made. This gave him the most Oscars he ever had in his life, including his only nomination for Best Picture. And he never got Best Picture in his life. He thought he could be taken seriously, but everyone was like, "Yeah, he's the cartoon guy." I wouldn't really think of him as like a serious movie producer. But then he makes this movie, and then it takes a live action sub animated movie to give him a Best Picture nomination, and I like it. Apparently, this is like one of those special films that has always been on home video, never out of print, and I first watched it in like 1993, and it's a fantastic movie. In my view, I mean, it's really enchanted me. And just hang on, you kind of want to sit down for this one. I had a crush on Mary Poppins. I think it's because Julie was rather young. Like she was only like in her late 20s when she filmed Mary Poppins. And that was a truly amazing feat. A year later, she did Sound of Music, and boom, that was a big success too. It's kind of weird, but
kind of redundant between those years.
Well, it's kind of weird, but Mary Poppins is going to be the role I remember Julie Andrews best for. And believe it or not,
I remember Julie Andrews for that cow episode about the Muppet Show.
Yeah, I know. I would have we would have had such a great time if she was on this call saying, "Holy mackerel, this is a real cow in the Muppet Show episode. That was cool. I mean, we have a real cow in the Muppets." And
dream on, dreamer.
Okay. Uh it was um Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic, really loves this movie a lot, and so do I. And according to Doug Walker, he says that that the walk that Mr. Banks takes in between his house and the bank, knowing he's gonna lose his job, um, with these beautiful matte paintings by Peter Ellenshaw across the scene with no dialogue, just the music and stuff. He believes that that is one of the best film, is one of his favorite scenes in film, period. And I feel like it's one of my favorite scenes as well, because it's it's supposed to be marking a significant point when the change of the in and when you see the character change, when you suddenly see him go from this old character into the new character. He's
Yeah,
walking
yeah. From
from,
a tightwad to a fun-loving father.
yes, exactly. And this in turn, when he sees the cathedral and it's empty on the steps and the music just crescendos to a holy thing, it just gets me. It really gets me because um he sees that the bird woman is not there. It might be implied that she died. Something to think about.
That the actress did die soon after.
Yeah, because she was pulled out of retirement and and in turn she this was her last role or something like that. One of her last roles or something. I believe that. But but it was a remarkable occasion, and this is the moment where Mr. Bank realizes, gosh, I've been living my life the whole time. Whatever happens to me with this job, I need to figure out how I'm going to move forward. And because I know I'm in the can for this. So you gotta bear with me. It was kind of that situation. I think it's cinematic perfection. This whole movie may as well be cinematic perfection. Even if you might think the effects are kind of creaky now compared to what we have nowadays, it's like, yeah, I can understand why you would feel they just only had to go with what was available at the time, but they couldn't just automatically travel forward in time, get our stuff, and then travel back in time and use that stuff and win an Oscar. No, they couldn't. They had to make do with what they have. Time travel wasn't invented. I don't know if it's gonna be invented, but but speaking of time, this was a completely different time. This big success that Walt Disney has seen, that Walt Disney planned for ever since those long ago days of Snow White and Pinocchio. Mary Poppins premiered and made a big success in a world that was completely different than that of Snow White. Let me just give you a rundown. We are starting to see the young people get into music like James Brown, Bob Dylan, the Beatles. They are starting to rise up and go for peace. Yeah, you're going the peace sign. Yeah, the hippies. Don't forget those. Nothing is gonna be normal from now. I mean, we are seeing the rise in the youth. They are growing weary
Yeah,
of
yeah, the rise of a counterculture revolution.
counterculture revolution. They are growing weary of war in a place called Vietnam. They are also being engaged in the civil rights movement. Even Dick Van Dyke himself participated in the famous March on Washington, where Martin Luther King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, and the '60s was a radical world, and with the
Don't you mean a
radical world,
groovy time?
um, with the radical world, there's gonna be
Jordan,
some
you're breaking
radical
up again.
changes, and unfortunately, hello. Oh, no. Oh,
Jordan.
yeah, I went unstable again. That's okay. Uh, I'm here.
Jordan, Jordan, okay. Jordan,
I'm here.
Jordan, you broke up. The signal broke up again.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I'm in
anyway, from what I'm telling you,
I'm in Blair's.
there was a lot of things. I mean, there was lot, lot of changes in the 60s that the younger generations were being fed up with, okay?
Yes. If anything, the 1960s with the young people who got into the press, they were a generation on the edge. And with radical change, some things unfortunately may have to go because Walt Disney by this point was experiencing health problems. At one point in this decade, he had to be.
I don't think the generation has to do anything with what's happening next.
I know, because he had nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, he was a constant chain smoker and cocktail
Yeah,
drinker.
we get it, Jordan. You've already said this before, so
Yeah,
yeah,
he was
can you just
he
cut
was
to the
at one
chase?
point rushed to the hospital, and during the hospital visit, he was trying to plan out Epcot even while in the hospital bed, and apparently
This is called Disney World, right? Because
Disney World,
yeah,
yeah,
because at that point, I mean, his yeah, the banks, discovered the anonymous tip, so the swamp lands in Orlando are being purchased, right?
yeah, by Disney. Yeah, they were. He wanted to create the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, or Epcot, which ended up becoming Disney World. So Walt knew that something something was up, but he couldn't but it seemed like 40 years of being in showbiz was about to catch up with him or something. Simply put, to quote Bob Dylan, he was Bob Dylan and Guns N' Roses, he was knocking at heaven's door. So next week, the last anime feature Walt Disney was ever involved in.
Okay.
All right. Let me hear from you, sir. Why you think this is overrated and stuff. So I'll seal my lips.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's just a couple of reasons. I mean, everyone says that this is like, Walt's biggest masterpiece, right?
Hmm.
Well, I think it is a masterpiece because, he was definitely, deeply involved in it. And maybe a little, too involved. I mean, the fact that, the girl wanted no compromise in it. This shows like the negative side of such overreach.
Mm. It was documented in the film Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah, but I've heard that they never really, personally, like, contact, met up with each other. And yeah, and I've heard that the movie that was meant to document that is instead that looks more like a positive propaganda. I mean, that's like a major misstep at Disney. I mean, it's personal because of that everybody believes it's fiction, even when they try to do behind the scenes stuff.
Okay. Okay, what else?
Well, another reason about how things go over is that when there's like too much positive ratings going, now there be like too much glorification, and when there's like too much glorification, they will try to like make it separate from the other pieces to compare, which may look like a comparison of art, but it could also be polarizing the history as well. I mean, and which again, goes back to how a spoonful of sugar may actually coat the medicine.
Ooh. Anything else you got, or do you want me to speak?
Yeah, nah, I just thought tuppence is a funny word. I mean, I can't take that Cornish name seriously. I mean, sounds like tuffin and comeuppance at the same time. Tuppence, tuppence.
Okay, I could get you.
But anyway, I guess in my personal experience, I was only interested in the animation stuff. I mean, and that's just how I chose the format to watch.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely see why now you finally explained to me why you think it's overrated. So I always told my opinion. It's awesome. It's
Hmm.
and I mean even Star-Lord thought Mary Poppins was cool. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
like
like
the character or the actor. I mean, I'm not
Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 when when
I'm aware of who Star-Lord is. I've seen, a cartoon backstory.
Star-Lord is Peter Quill. He's played by Chris Pratt. And while he's flowing flowing down with Yondu, who's got his arrow like this, and he's like that,
Mhm.
and Chris Pratt looks up at him and says, and he's like, Yondu's like, what? And Chris Pratt says, you look like Mary Poppins. And Yondu says, is he cool? And Chris Pratt says, heck yeah, he's cool. And Yondu's like, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. As a matter of fact, that was improv.
Yeah, that part of the script. That's always fun to hear. So, um, yeah. Speaking of scripts and stuff, I do have a question. I mean, yeah, do you want to talk about like Mary Poppins Returns, or is that like not on the list?
That ain't on the list. I didn't really enjoy it that much because that I'm going through this in chronological order.
Yeah, and with essentials as well. But then, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that feature took place in like the slump years. That may have been like
Yeah, the 30s.
1930s period. That would have been more faithful to the books.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
So so I so thank you for giving off my your opinions, and
And yeah, I
thank you
mean, if
for
Julia
listening
was
to.
here, I mean, not only would she, yeah, yeah, agree with how wonderful it is, but also give like her personal experience of like, watching it as a little girl. I mean, her father's from England, so they would be aware of any London-based stories.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm glad to hear Julia's opinion as well, even though she's not here to speak it for herself.
Yeah, maybe I shall speak it to you sometime soon.
I even I even saw a stage version of this show like before the pandemic happened.
Yeah, quite a popular Broadway piece. So, anyway, gotta get going. I've been like yeah, got like some special illustrations I want to do for like a script pitch.
Ooh, that's cool.
The walls have eyes.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah, that's kind of complicated. I mean, it'd be more of an early draft really, but yeah, and yeah, show it to somebody else. But anyway, I gotta go and also find some dinner. Okay. Good.
Okay, bye.
Wait, maybe not next week because yeah, something's going on Monday. I'll explain on Skype. Okay,
Okay,
later.
bye.